I've heard through the grapevine, mostly from this hippie named Stan who lived up on a mountain by us in Oregon.
Standard.
Yeah, one of the best things to do is to throw some old tree stumps in your garden bed because they'll break down and make some really nice activity there. So I just wanted to run that past you and maybe duck because I see you're making that face.
Stan told you that?
Well, it's hippie Stan. I mean, it's the old earth magic.
Stan
right?
said throw some, you say trunks?
Yeah, like tree stumps.
Like stumps, like whole, like this big?
Yeah. Cut them up if you need to.
Cutting them up would be good. Chipping them would be better.
Okay.
I understand the idea of wanting to, especially if you're paying for garden soil, not wanting to just fill an entire raised bed with garden soil. We've joked before that the term dirt cheap.
Not so cheap.
Dirt is not that cheap if you're trying to fill a garden bed. But putting an entire tree stump or a log, even a branch, I would say anything but a chip, a wood chip, the amount of time that it would take to break down is going to cause a lot of problems with the nutritional makeup of your soil.
Okay.
So I actually see this advice go around social all the time. Right about now in the spring, all the garden accounts come out of the woodwork and say, you can save money by throwing a bunch of logs in your garden beds. And they film cute little time lapses of them doing it. And all I want is to be like, show us your yellow leaves a couple of months later.
Right.
Because what happens, so imagine this tree log, right? I don't know why I need to visualize the size of it, but carbon, you have your nitrogen-based materials like your greens, food scraps, anything that's like wet, I guess, that's the green. And then anything dry and crunchy is your carbon, that's the brown. You're throwing this huge amount of carbon into your bed. One, you need an equal amount of carbon and nitrogen, green and brown, or sticky and crunchy, however you want to think about it, for something to actively compost. So not only are you way throwing off the balance, but the way that soil breaks down is that these little bacteria guys come and they see the carbon, they're like, oh, we should start breaking that down. And they attach themselves to it and they have to use nitrogen in order to break down the carbon. And what you actually see is this it's actually shocking when they show it in line graph form, this incredibly large dip in the available nitrogen in your soil, which is one of the primary macronutrients for growing vegetables. So you get yellowing leaves, you get lower yields. And if you put a stump or a branch 5 years, 10 years, it's not just breaking down in one season, especially in Utah. I mean, maybe if you're in Appalachia, like super humid North Carolina,
right,
or the Pacific Northwest or something, you might get faster breakdown. But even still, I think we're at a couple of growing seasons where you'd have a huge depletion in nitrogen. So I just think it's easy advice that people do without thinking of the consequences, the science, if you will.
Run it through a chipper and it's game on.
Yeah, I would do some wood chips. I wouldn't fill 3/4 of my bed with wood chips and top with some mulch or compost or something. I would say 1/3, the bottom third with chipped wood chips. I might even be a little bit extra and inoculate them with mycorrhizal fungi mix or something. So that would really jumpstart everything. Inoculation is literally like we get it really wet and then like think chicken and breadcrumbs. Like we just want a coating of these inoculants that you can purchase that are full of these beneficial fungi and bacteria. Chicken and breadcrumbs, the mulch, and then add garden bed soil. You could make your own potting soil, some compost. But yeah, I would never put a log in a vegetable bed.
Just too big of a meal for those little guys.
Yeah, exactly.